Hey guys, and welcome to another video. I am currently sitting in a rather empty and rather echoey, sad room. For those of you that don't know, I'm in the middle of a move, and funnily enough, this video right here is going to be the last video I record in this room ever, I guess, which is kind of weird, because for the past 5-6 years almost on YouTube, every single video I've ever made has been in here, and now all the acoustic paneling's been taken out, and I'm packing everything up tomorrow to move out. So it's been pretty hectic. Most of my stuff has already moved. That's why there's been a little bit less on the video front, but I did want to sit down and talk to you guys about the patch that came out yesterday. Arena actually released their patch for this week a bit earlier. I believe they had a holiday or something, so they said they were going to put it out a bit quicker for us. And there were a fair few cool changes. I want to cover these, and once again, there was some new content as well, because I am kind of swamped under... Most of the footage for today is going to be PvP-based stuff, but where I have specific footage of cool new things to show you, we'll go through those, like, right now. So, number one, this was a really cool change, and I'm so surprised that patch after patch after patch, ArenaNet keep throwing this kind of stuff in here. We're getting free camera for spectator mode in PvP. Yeah, how many of these videos have I done recently where I've said, oh yeah, they've done this for spectator mode, and this for spectator mode, and this for spectator mode? Free cam has been the number one thing on pretty much anyone who's ever cared about spectator mode's list that they wanted from the devs, and it's here now. When I first played it, I thought, it's got kind of a weird bind to get into it. It's Control-Shift-F, which of course you can rebind. I thought it was fairly rudimentary, that it was just locked at a single plane. But it's like when you're underwater, where if you press your descend hotkey, you can lower the camera. If you press space, you can ascend the camera. It moves really smoothly. It's fascinating, and I think it will do a lot for casters. And I guess what ArenaNet have done is they've identified that from now on, as long as they refine the spectator mode and get it really up to snuff with, say, other competitive games out there, it's really going to provide a lot for people who are coming onto the scene and decide they want to start casting. People are going to start getting more inspired, and that should help their scene grow now that leagues are in and so forth. Whatever the case is, whether they're right or wrong about that, someone's definitely had a big long list and kept hammering out awesome spectator mode changes, and I guess you guys should check it out. Also, even if you don't like PvP, what I kind of find this interesting for is the applications of this mode for maybe some of the other game types. I'm not saying that we're ever going to get like full-on spectating for World versus World, but maybe the odd PvE mission if they go for some wild new ideas when it comes to future expansions. I don't know. The technology's there, and it's exciting. It's fluid. It's pretty fun. So yeah, I'm playing around with that a little bit there for you guys. To tell you the truth, most of my gameplay in all of Guild Wars 2 the past month or so, and especially since the new season began, has all been PvP. I've spent so little time in any other game mode. I'm actually about to hit Legendary for this season again. I at one point went on a 24-win streak through pure solo queue. That's about 40 pips in a row that I got. And I've got my legendary back piece and stuff. I guess I'll talk about how the season in general has gone a little bit in the future once it's closed down. But one of the most prominent builds that we're seeing is a warrior build, which actually with this patch, I may as well just tell you guys right away, has been shaved ever so slightly. Basically, ArenaNet identified some bugs that were in the favor of current warrior builds and shaved them down a little bit, removed those bugs, but I don't expect any massive changes on the balance front for this patch. The other thing I kind of want to show you guys explicit footage of is a new toy. So last time they had a big patch, not a quarterly update, but you know, one of these patches that added a bit of content too. You guys might recall that they did some quality of life for toys. So stuff like the Sonic tunneling drill toy or the magic carpet toy that are kind of like Guild Wars 2's weird version of doing mounts that don't give you extra movement speed. They added a system which means you automatically equip these if you go into combat and you can more fluidly move in and out of them. Well, they've refined that a little bit more now. The timer on it is much quicker, so your guy will re-equip it, interacts with gliding a bit better, and I mean, we probably saw this coming. There is a new one of these toys available for only, as you guys see this video, 4 more days. Like, 4 more days, and you kind of float around on electromagnetism, which is on theme with the new content that they added on this patch here, which I guess we'll talk about in a future video once I got settled in at the new place. So that's a little something that I'll show you guys on my warrior with the sexy new back piece, and I thought you guys might get a kick out of it. If you do like it, remember, it's only available for a very, very short period of time. Alright, so let's jump into the other things. I'm feeling a little bit out of the loop because I've been PvPing so much, but a lot of these do seem like fairly positive changes. First of all, a load of world polish, specifically focused on the Cursed Shore and a little bit of Malkor's Leap as well. So, stuff like events that have been in the game since launch that have a tendency to bug under certain circumstances are being fixed, and some of those are quite important as well. If you think about important meta events for Guild Wars 2, sure, you're going to think about the Heart of Thorns maps, and sure, you're probably going to think about Silver Waste and Dry Top. But also, I would say the Cursed Shore, you know, the event chain where you eventually assault the gates of Ara, and in the past even opened up access to the final dungeon. Well, that apparently was bugging, so there have been some stalling issues there. I won't go through every single one. I mean, who really cares about tiny changes to events in the Cursed Shore? I don't know whether there's anything really to read into that, whether that means, oh, an ore overhaul is coming or an ore overhaul will never come. It's probably too early to say. It's just important world polish. There are also some changes like these in Dredgehunt Cliffs and Tangled Depths. Tangled Depths specifically, apparently, I'd never encountered this, but I haven't done much Chuck Garant. It had a reward, it had a bug that caused you to get the reward chest from the Chuck Garant twice in a single run. I have no idea how that was being done. I wish I did know how that was being done. As always, there's always patch notes like this. I'm like, damn it, I should have taken advantage of that. But yeah, apparently that's been refined. And supposedly as well, I may have a video for you guys quite soon on a farm in the Auric Basin, depends how it goes, that supposedly by map hopping and doing a certain thing, you can get a ton of cash that way as well. Maybe a little bit in line with what they did with the Tangled Depths here. But so yeah. Slight other world polish change related to bouncing mushrooms and jump pads. ArenaNet described this as a launch to a specific location. I wonder whether we have a correct term for that kind of mechanic as the game continues to go along, because ArenaNet clearly like these jump pads, right? Well, they've refined them so you're always facing the right direction as you're flying through the air. The reason I point this out and draw attention to this patch note specifically, though, is I did want to tell you guys, I'm not sure, maybe somebody can explain if it still exists. There was a really fun bug with these launch pads for a while, and maybe it's still there in the game, where you could combo the launch pads with the Revenant Hammer 3, I think it is. So, the Revenant has access to some really interesting skills on their hammer. One specifically where you can launch yourself, teleport yourself physically to a faraway location, but your camera won't move, and then you'll blink back to where you originally were. And ArenaNet coded this in a really cool way, in such a way that you can combo it with your other skills, you can combo it to get points of interest that maybe you weren't supposed to, because your character really does physically move to that location, even during that one skill. Well, there was kind of a funny trick where if you use this onto a launch pad, you would hit that launch pad when you teleported back, you'd go into the sky, but you'd maintain the speed of that teleport while flying off of the launch pad when you glide out of the top of the launch pad. Which was just insane. It could take you to all these cool places, especially when you used it in, say, Lion's Arch on those launch pads, or any of the ones they added when gliding came to Corteria. And now I guess this change may have killed that, or may have continued with it. Maybe somebody can enlighten us in the comments, but it was something I've wanted to talk to you guys about for so long, so there's my excuse. I'll talk about it now. Big change. If you're one of these people that when the expansion came out, you found you were having really low frame rate, like really low. Obviously, the new jungle maps are a bit worse in terms of optimization. They've got a lot more going on. You're generally going to lose like 10 to 20 frames, all right? There's some variance there. You're going to lose some frames in the new maps, but if you're having really bad frame rate, like it proper got cut down, you might have been the victim of a user interface bug. People kind of cottoned onto a while ago and have realized the fix, but now Arena have fixed for themselves, related to the content guide. So let's cast our minds back to Feature Pack 2. The content guide was a UI element they added to the game that allows you to always look in the top right-hand corner of your screen, and depending on how you set it up, it will mindlessly guide you to every single heart, point of interest, skill point, vista, whatever on that map to get you map completion, and then it will lead you to your personal story stuff, and so on and so on and so on. And it's quite a nice feature. It's, I think, by default off, or maybe it's by default on, but it's one of these other things, again, that's trying to give people direction. Don't forget, Feature Pack 2 was really about that early leveling experience, and a lot of people really enjoyed this. It does make world completion a cinch if you're not into that whole exploring for yourself and just letting the game guide you everywhere. Well, in the Heart of, well, not even in the Heart of Thorns maps, the way that the content guide was coded was conflicting somehow with Squad UI, which came with Heart of Thorns. And so if you were in a squad and you had the content guide on, two kind of specific scenarios that might be hard to identify, it would destroy your FPS. And so people were saying, oh, well, don't play with the content guide, turn it off. And now ArenaNet fix it on their end, and you can start using that again if maybe you turn it off. So that is a pretty big change, and that was hitting a lot of people. I've never really talked about it on the channel, but I do know it was a big issue, especially from people in my guild who had been talking about it. Some other minor bug fixes I don't feel the need to desperately go into, but like stalling issues with achievements related to fractals. Fractals, in my opinion, are a complete, massive, huge mess at the moment. Maybe we'll talk about that some other time. The next thing I do want to focus on, though, is a new option they've added. A completely new option for sound called Disable Combat Chatter. Now, this is funny to me. What this option does is it disables all the things your player character will say. So I can outrun a centaur, and, you know, when you give yourself might, and when you give yourself retaliation, or when you explore new areas, or where you level up, all that kind of chatter that your actual character will say as you walk around the world, that's what's getting disabled. Not necessarily when you go into, like, these side-by-side cutscenes in personal story instances and stuff like that, but the random stuff. And this is funny to me because I don't think too many people these days were asking for that feature. I don't just say that because I don't really care about this feature, but you just genuinely don't see people really asking for it. However, I do very specifically remember way back before Guild Wars 2 came out, back on the Guild Wars 2 Guru forums, it was revealed one day that Guild Wars 2 would have this, that it would have player characters who talk. And don't forget that we were coming from Guild Wars 1, a game where there was really a lot less voice acting. There would be flavor commentary coming from, say, heroes and henchmen, but never your character itself. And I remember when ArenaNet announced this feature, this was before the game came out, and us ravenous nerds that were desperate to learn about the game would pick at anything and have discussions about anything. And we had discussion about this, and there were a lot of people expressing sincere reservations and caution to ArenaNet, saying, oh, ArenaNet, this could be really bad. This is going to make your game suck because they're going to keep replaying the same audio over and over and over again, and it's going to kill my immersion, and you guys need to be really careful. And I remember people approaching the devs about this as well, with concerns like this in pre-launch interviews, and saying, oh, hey, are we going to get a way to disable it? And I remember the devs kind of hand-wavy-ish, saying, oh yeah, we appreciate this as a concern. It could be something we'll get rid of. It will be something we'll deal with, right? And I remember that so clearly, and then I remember the game came out, and then that never was an option. But I also very sincerely thinking to myself, it doesn't matter, right? Like, this is an okay feature, who really cares? And it never became a problem. But now, today, in 2016... we have it here. There you go. That's the patch note. The combat chatter can now be removed. I like to think that there's some massive, enormous list of things that people desperately wanted quality of life-wise from way back at launch that ArenaNet are just now picking through. And we've got to this point here. Obviously, they've got good intentions. Nobody's going to be upset about an option like this. And there will be people. Don't let me cast a sour light on these people. There are definitely going to be people out there who like this, who don't care about the constant repetitive noise. They'll turn it off, and it will make them happy. And it's a nice feature to have. It's just funny that it's come in with this patch now. So there you go. Moving on. There is a ominous little patch note here saying new parties are becoming interested in leyline energy. Ooh, what of course could this mean? Well, actually, when you log in as well, you're going to get a mail from Ella McKay talking about the unidentified lodestone from a couple of patches ago. And a lot of the Black Lion gem store stuff is themed around this content here. We'll deal with that specifically in a future video. But yeah, so that's another little ominous patch note. I like the way that they're doing those. I did want to move on to guild changes. Now, some of it's not very exciting. So they say, oh, decorations now have descriptions. And, you know, that might sound kind of cool. Like, oh, we'll get lots of little flavory descriptions and extra info on all the decorations. That'll be cool. Well, what it really is just where these things come from. So this was purchased from a basic decorations vendor, or this was crafted by a scribe of X level. So that's really not too fun, but the guild changes specifically with Arena are important. As you guys know on the streams now, each Sunday we are hoping to do like a cool little game type each time. And one of the things we were struggling with just last Sunday has been a long-standing issue with the guild arenas related to when someone goes out of bounds. So I'll tell you how this worked before the patch so that we're all on the same page. Basically, before the patch, what would happen is if you went into a guild arena, and then you climbed on a bunch of decorations to get out of the legal combat limits. This is very easy to do on the Lost Precipice. Very easy, like to go out, you know, to the sides of the arena or to go high up. It's incredibly easy. But it's a bit harder to do on the Gilded Hollow, but it's absolutely possible on both. If you do this, what it will do is it will take you out of arena mode. and no one will be able to target you or fight you anymore. It's basically you've been put on the invulnerable team, except you're like super invulnerable. There's nothing anyone can do to you whatsoever. They cannot lick you, they cannot target you, anything. But you still view them as enemies, and so if you walk back into the arena now, you can now grief and troll the hell out of any game type you like. Not that we've been subject to this at all so far, but you'll still see everyone else as enemies, and you'll be able to kill them, and they won't be able to retaliate in any way. So it's a really clunky, annoying thing to exist, and the worst thing about it is a lot of players aren't very attentive. What happens when you're in the arena is if I join the blue team, all of my dye on my armor, on my outfit, will become blue. If I join the red team, it will become all red. If I join green, it will go green. If you become invulnerable, it will go like white. It's pretty cool the way ArenaNet have done it, but that's the only way, really, while you're in the arena, of knowing what team you're on. So you think about it, in PvP, proper PvP, what can you do to tell your color? Well, you've got your user interface there to support it. But in the arenas, there is none of that. And so what you'd find is if you try and do elaborate arenas that play with the boundaries of the combat space just a little bit too much, people might accidentally leave the boundaries of the arena, walk back in, think everything's normal and that they're fighting, and if you've got like a huge Rumble Pit style game type going on in there, they're just going to keep fighting. They're not going to realize they're invulnerable. They're not going to even realize that they're breaking the game there and that no one can fight them for a long time. And that's very common to happen. So ArenaNet have fixed that. There you go. That's this patch. Players, it specifically says, fixed a bug in which players outside the arena saw players inside as enemies. And what does that mean? If you bug out of the arena, you can't target anyone else and they can't target you. So it may not look very important on the patch notes, but it is very important. Another little thing, I guess, that balances the playing field is guild halls. As you build up your tavern, some of you guys might not know this, but you can give everyone a global perk in the guild hall to move quickly. And as you upgrade the tavern, it gets more potent. Well, that used to affect the arena as well. And if you were trying to do kind of first one to the top style jumping puzzle arenas, then this guild hall swiftness could mess with things a little bit as your guild grows, and then it slowly changes and people can make jumps that you didn't expect them to and so on. Well, that no longer affects you in the arena, and it's just like fighting anywhere else in World vs. World or PvP or whatever. Swiftness is worth the same as not having swiftness and so on. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There then were a few changes to personal story stuff. Specifically, the last personal story instance for Heart of Thorns had another bunch of bug fixes. We all know how infamously buggy that's been. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they've all been fixed, because I can almost guarantee you that they've not, especially a certain bug that's been hitting me. And that's the patch for you guys. That's how things have been going. There was a change to Blackline chests, just as a bit of an addendum, where they've tripled for the next little while your rates on getting permanent contract stuff like permanent makeover kits, permanent hairstylists, permanent bank access, permanent TP, those things. They currently have triple the rates, but I mean triple of 0.0002% is still an incredibly low chance and probably shouldn't be a motivation for you to buy further Blackline chests. I find it kind of funny, actually. ArenaNet in the patch notes warn people that it's still a very low chance. But, I mean, why would you do this if you weren't trying to fund more sales of gems for keys for chests? The other thing that's happening to the chest right now is because of the Leyline contemporary events, if you buy an open Blackline chest right now, you can get these trash items you can vendor for just straight up gold, which I suppose is nice. And they did some refinements to the music items, but I've never really played with those. I mean, come on, I'm not much of a musician. I wouldn't know how great those changes have been, but hopefully they've been something people have been asking for. And there you go. That's pretty much it. There were some future updates on just today, actually, that came out, which fixed even more bugs, but that was all based on the new content, which we haven't talked about yet, so we don't have to talk about today. And there you go, guys. This is the last Guild Wars video, or just video in general, that I'll ever make in here. I'm kind of sad. I'm going to get very homesick. I can tell you that straight away. I'll keep you guys in the loop of how things have been going. I'm excited about the new place. I've got some good desks and things sorted out. Maybe I'll do like something of a vloggy thing in the future. But thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you very much for sticking with me through all this time. And I guess I'll see you next time at some exciting new digs. And hopefully I won't cry. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.